Welcome to week 3 of Design 246. So far we have covered motion keyframes in week 1. Week 2 we covered sprite animations. And week 3 we are going to be covering how to create some interactive animations as well as how to add audio to our animations. So we have a few assignments this week. The first assignment, of course, is our participation assignment, which we're doing right now. Just make sure to follow along and submit what we cover in class. Then we have our hybrid. This one has a video. Just watch the video, follow along, and submit what you complete there. And then we have our week 3 assignment where you're going to create a spaceship animation. Now I have attached all the files you need for this assignment, for the spaceship assignment. So just download that file and start working on it. A lot of what you've learned in the previous weeks will come in handy, and the only additional thing you'll be adding to this that we haven't covered already is the audio animation, and we'll be doing that today. So yeah, use the images provided to complete an animation where the spaceship takes off and flies off screen. So what I'm looking for when it takes off is I'm expecting it to be resting on the ground, and it takes off in an upwards direction, and then it goes forward and goes off screen. So the background is going to be 500 pixels by 1000 pixels, and so when the spaceship goes off screen, that is actually going off the background, and when it goes off the background it needs to be hidden, and you can use this by doing the overflow hidden tag. Alright, so let's get started on our tutorial. Okay. So if we go to our participation for week 3, you'll notice that there's a number of links and code that's in here. We're going to be using all of this as it's going to be coming in handy. So let's go to Dreamweaver and let's create a file. So we're going to create an HTML file. So we're going to double click on that. And in our title tag, we're going to call this Week 3 Participation. All right. And let's go and save this to our Design 246 folder, and we'll click on New Folder, and we'll call this Participation 3. Alright, and we will call this participation.html. Save. Alright. Now we also have this code right here. I want you to grab all of this. I want you to copy it. I want you to go to Dreamweaver, and we're going to go to File, New, and this time we are going to click on a JavaScript file. So this is going to be a different file format versus your HTML. So we're going to click on JavaScript, and we are going to paste that code right in here. Just clean up this formatting a little bit, get these so they're over to the side. Alright, and then we will save this as audio.js. Now we'll go back to our participation.html tab right here. We'll scroll up here, and we are going to add in this link right here. This will give us access to jQuery, which is a very useful JavaScript library that makes coding a lot easier. Now granted, we're not going to be covering a lot of JavaScript this module or in this class, but we may be covering that later on in future classes. Alright, now let's just copy this right here again, and we want to paste it right below. We'll take out this path right here, and we'll just type in audio.js. This will give us access to the JavaScript that's right in here. Alright. Now as for the animation that we're going to be doing tonight, we're going to create an animation of a car that's going to just move across the screen. So let's go find an image of a car. So I'm going to Google car side, and I'm going to go to images, and I'm going to find an image of a car that's got a nice white background. Oh, perfect. This one right here has a transparent background. Saves us some work so we don't have to work with Photoshop. So we'll just drag this over onto our desktop. And we now have a car on our desktop. Let's rename it, so we're just going to call it car.png. Alright, and let's drop that into that folder that we created today. So we're going to go to Design 246, Participation 3, and we'll put our car.png right next to our audio.js and participation.html. And I'm just going to arrange it so it's nice and cleanly formatted there. Alright, so let's see what the dimensions are on this car. Okay, it's not saying. No, that's fine. We'll just resize it in the code. Alright, so let's go and set up our style tags, which we use to put in our CSS. And we'll create a background. And we'll do a width of 1,000 pixels, height of 500 pixels. Background, we'll just do black for now. And we'll do a margin of 10 VH auto, which will get it centered horizontally on the page, and then it's going to take it down by about 10% on the top of the page. Okay. So let's put our code inside the body tags here. So we're going to do a div ID. I'm going to type in background here, the one that we just specified in our CSS. Okay, we'll save it. We'll grab our URL that's right here, and we'll go up here and I'll paste it. Alright, so now we've got a black box that's 1,000 pixels wide by 500 pixels tall. Now let's go ahead and get our image, or our car image in there. So we're going to do a div ID car. And inside that, we're going to do an image, src, and we'll do car.png. Okay, and then in our CSS, we'll specify that as well. So we'll do car as our ID. And we'll do a height of, let's do 100 pixels for now, just to get a feel for what it looks like. So we'll save that, go in here. Alright, we've got our car. Now I really don't like the direction that car is facing, so I'm actually going to pull it up into Photoshop and I'm going to change the direction. So I'm going to go to Photoshop. I'm going to go to New. Actually, let's go to File, Open. And let's go to that car image. Okay, so we've got it open in Photoshop. Let's go to Image, Canvas. No, we don't want to do that. Let's do a Command T. Gives us this nice box around the car. Right click on it, and then we can go and flip horizontal. Alright, now it's going a different direction. And let's use the crop tool that I've got selected here. And let's cut down all that extra space that's not being used. So we'll go down about there. down the edges. Alright. Now our image is all saved, or all ready for us, so let's go to File, Save. Alright, now if we refresh this, now we have an image of the car that's facing the direction that I'd like, and now we can start positioning it. So let's go back to Dreamweaver, and we are going to use Translate, Transform, Translate. And we'll do just 100 pixels, 100 pixels. Let's see what that does. Alright. In our previous tutorials, I've actually used a margin tag to position things from the top and from the side. The Transform Translate tool is another very useful way to be able to position things. This right here, if we change this, so we're going to do it 150, so we'll save it, go back here, it moves things from left to right. So if I was to change that to a negative 150, it's actually going to go off the page by 150 pixels. Change that to 0. It will be flush against the black box. And the 100 right here, if we were to take that down to 0, is for the vertical positioning. So we can, so horizontal, vertical. Alright, so we want to push this down a bit. So we've got the height of the image at 100 pixels, which means we'll need to push it down by 400 for it to be on the bottom of the black box. So we're going to keep that at 0. Oh, let's do 10 just so it has a little bit of spacing from the wall there. And we'll push it down by 400 pixels. Save it, refresh it. Okay. So we've got the height for the car div set at 100 pixels, but we did not specify any formatting for the image here, so we'll need to make sure we do that. So we're going to do a hashtag car image. This will allow us to select the image that is inside the car ID, and we're going to give that a height of 100 pixels. So we'll refresh that. Alright, the image is much smaller. Gives us a little bit more room with the car to be able to move it around. Alright, so now let's create a car animation. So let's do animation. We'll call this car move. We'll have the animation last for 3 seconds. We'll call this ease. There'll be a 0-second delay. And we'll have this iterate only once. And we'll do forwards. Alright, let's set up our keyframes. So we'll do ampersand, keyframes, car move, just like we have specified here. Do a 0%. And we'll grab this right here. Paste that in there. And we'll do 100%. And we'll do a transform, translate. And we're going to move it over by 600 pixels. And then we're going to keep the 400 the same, so it's going to be still positioned vertically in the same position. Alright, let's save that and see what happens. Alright, so now we have an animation of the car moving. But if we look at the wheels aren't moving. So it's not very believable. So let's go and fix that. So let's go and Google car wheels. Let's go to images. And let's find a nice car image or wheel image that we can use. So this looks pretty good. It's got a white background, so it's going to be easy for us to remove the background from it. So I'm going to click and drag this over. I'm going to call this wheel. Oh, moved off screen. Let's see if I can. Okay. Let's go to open with Photoshop. Double click on our layer right here so we can click OK. It removes the lock status off of it, so now we can easily edit it. And we want to use the magic wand tool. You might have the quick selection tools active. Make sure that you go to the magic wand tool. We'll click the white here and we'll just delete that. We'll click into each one of these individually and delete them. So as I'm selecting each of these areas, you'll notice that there is a selection around the white area. Then I'm pressing the delete button to delete it. Alright, so do a Command D to deselect the selection. And just like I did with a car image, I am going to crop this wheel as much as possible. So it's right next to the edges. Alright, I don't need this image to be as big as it is, so I'm going to do a Command Option I. So this allows us to change the image size, and we're going to just change it down to, let's do 200. Alright, so the image looks a little bit more pixelated, but when it's at the size that we're going to actually be using, it's going to look pretty good. So let's go to File, Save As. I personally like to use Save for Web, since we're going to be using this for the web. PNG 24, and we're just going to click Save. And we're going to save it inside the folder that we created for this assignment. We're going to call it wheel.png and click Save. Alright, so now we've got a wheel.png image that we can use and animate. So let's go and put those images in here. So we're going to do a div. Actually, let's do an image. Image src. And we'll call this, put it wheel.png, which is what we've got right here. And we're going to be doing two wheels. Okay, so we're going to add in an ID here. We'll call this wheel 1. Add in another ID. We'll call this wheel 2. Okay, we'll add a class in here. Let's simplify things a bit. Let's do this as a class. The wheel format. Okay. Delete that out. Copy that. Paste that over this right here. And change this to this. So we've got wheel 1 and wheel format as two different classes that we have specified on one of our images, and then on the next one we've got wheel 2, wheel format. Okay, so now let's go and specify our wheel format. We're going to set this as a position, absolute, and let's also, yeah. Okay, let's save that and see what we are going to be seeing in the viewer. Alright, so we're going to have to shrink that image down quite a bit. Let's also do a position absolute on the car. we'll put in a transform translate onto wheel 1. So let's do 0px and 0px. That's right. Position absolute we should actually do on our image itself. So the car is not pushing the wheels where we don't want the wheels to be. Okay. Now let's change the size of those wheels. So let's do a height of 50px. Okay, they do not appear to change in size. So we need to double check, see what's going on there. So I'm going to right click on here, go to inspect element with Firebug. Or if you don't have Firebug, we can just go to inspect element, which works just as well. Okay. So looks like the problem we're having is by me doing this right here, the car, and specifying the image, I'm actually automatically adding this formatting to all of the images inside car here. So to fix that, let's do a specific ID or class for this car.png, and we'll just call this car format. We'll take this right here out, and then we'll change this to car format. Okay. Now let's try it. Alright, the images are looking much smaller here, but they're not positioned where we want them to be, which can be easily fixed. So let's push it over by about 20 pixels, and we're going to push it down by 50 pixels for wheel 1. Alright, so we've got that wheel just about in place. So let's go inspect the element. The inspect element is a very useful tool because it allows us to make changes and see them as we make them. So we can click here, and we can just change that until I like the positioning. Push it down as needed. Now the image is still looking pretty big, so let's shrink it down to the size that we like. And then we're going to keep working with positioning until we like what we see. Alright, so I have a translate of 33 pixels, so that's 33 pixels that's being pushed from the left, and 56 pixels that's being pushed from the top. Okay, so we'll do this as 33 and 56, so I believe it was what was specified here. Alright, and let's just copy this, paste it below, and do wheel 2. Now we've got it vertically positioned where we need it to be, but we just need to push it over by quite a bit. So let's just do 233 and see what that looks like. Alright, so move the second one. Oh, looks like we forgot to change the size of our tire here. So let's make sure we change that size. So we had it down to about let's do 45. Okay. And position this over. About 2 or 3. looks like we need to just move it over just a few more pixels. So let's do that by 206. Okay, that's too many. Okay, that looks pretty good. Alright, now we need to set up an animation for these wheels. So, the class that both of these share is the wheel format. So we are going to add the animation onto the wheel format. So let's just copy the code that we have here, save us a little bit of work, paste it in here, and we'll call this wheel rotate. Now we'll keep it at 1 second there. I'm going to do ease, sure. Do forwards, and we'll change the 1 to infinite, so it's going to be always rotating. Okay, now let's set up our keyframes. So copy this, paste it in, and we are going to change this to rotate, and we'll do 0 DEG for 0 degrees, but it's going to be rotated. Then at 100% it's going to rotate by 360 degrees. Okay, grab the wheel rotate here, paste it here, and let's refresh the page. Alright, so we've got the wheels here. They're rotating, but it looks like we are also using the translate here, which is a setting that we can use for the transform. So that's a bit of an issue. So to resolve this, so we don't have two tags that are conflicting with each other, let's change this to a margin for now. So we'll do 33 px, because that is the, actually we'll need to do 56 px. First number for the margin is for the very top, and we'll do 0 px, which is for the right side, 0 px for the bottom, and then we'll do 33 px, which will move it from the left. Okay, so we'll take that out. Save that. Let's. Alright, so we got that one moving. This right here is still not where we need it to be. So, same thing. Let's copy this right here, paste it here. Alright, so this is 204. And we'll delete that. Alright, so I'm not liking the animation where it kind of starts up and then slows down, then starts up and then goes down. So we want to use a different animation than the ease that we're currently using. So to take a look at the different list of animations that we have to work with, let's go back to modules. And we'll go to our participation assignment for Tuesday. We have here. If we scroll in, we can see what type of options we want to do. So let's just try linear. So change the ease to linear, right here. Alright, now the rotation is continuous. The exact direction that we want it to do. It doesn't slow, it doesn't go faster, it just goes at continuous speed. now. So that's looking pretty good until the car stops moving and the wheels are still rotating, but that's something that we can worry about later. So the next thing that we want to cover is adding in some audio functionality. So we added in our audio.js file, which is one that we created that's right here. Now, you don't need to worry about the JavaScript right here. We can just access it through our HTML right in here. So on our car ID right here, we're going to do a data-audio-action. I'm going to do equals, and then we are going to specify as a click. So when we click on the car, it's going to do an audio. Then we want to do data-audio, and we can specify the name of our audio file. Now right now we do not have an audio file, which we will find momentarily. So let's go back to our assignment for week 3. So click right in here. If it will load up here. Okay. So right here is a sound effects resource. So let's copy this URL right here. So it says Sound Bible or Sound Bibble. I'm not sure how it's supposed to be pronounced. Paste in the URL here. Okay, so this gives us access to a bunch of different audio sounds that are on the internet that we don't have to pay for. We can just use as needed. So let's do a search for car. Alright, that does not... Let's try the audio. That does not sound like a car. Let's try vehicle. There we are, car driving. Let's see what our other options are. Yeah, that one sounds pretty good. So let's just click on this. Car spitting out. So we'll click on the MP3 file format right here, and we'll click OK. So now it's downloaded to my downloads folder. So I've got the car spitting out soundbible.com. So let's change that name to be a little bit easier. So we're just going to call this car. So it's car.mp3. Alright, so now let's go to our folder that has all of our other files. So we're just going to drag this car.mp3 over to all the other files in our folder. So we've got our car, we've got our wheel, our participation file here, we've got our audio. Alright, now that it's all placed where it needs to be, let's specify here car.mp3. And we can also specify the volume for the audio. So for now we're just going to do data-volume, which is 1, which is equivalent of 100%. So it's about as loud as we can get that audio file to go with HTML. So let's save that. Go back to our preview of the car. If we click on here, oh, looks like we got a problem here. So let's see what that is. Oh, forgot to put an N there. Volume. so now whenever I click on the car, it will create that audio sound of the car moving. But we also want to set it up so that the car starts to move when we click on it, so we get the audio and then we get the animation. So to set that up, we're going to do a little bit of JavaScript. We'll keep things simple. And you can pretty much use this exact function that we're creating right here for your assignment, for your spaceship assignment. So let's keep the function generic. And we'll just call it function start. Okay, here we're going to select our car. ATTR, which is an attribute, or no, actually, let's do an add class. So we're adding in a class, and we'll type in car movement. And then on here, we're going to do onClick equals start. Put in our two parentheses here and the semicolon. So when we click on this right here, on click, which means we put it on the car, so when we click on the car, it will call this function right here and it will complete the action that we have specified here. Now in this particular case, it's going to just simply add in a class that is car movement. Now right now we do not have any car movement class specified. So let's specify that now. So we're going to do car movement, and we are going to take the animation code that we had on our car ID previously, take that out, and we're going to move that onto this class. Okay, so let's save that, and let's refresh this right here. That is if it wants to refresh. Okay, and now the car isn't actually moving, or its wheels are right now, but the car isn't. But if we click on it, the car now moves, and the audio starts at the exact same time. Alright, but we don't want those wheels spinning out quite yet, or at least not until we click on it. So we're going to do another item in here. So let's copy this code right here. And on here, for our wheel, what we're going to do period wheel format. So that is selecting this class right here, or this right here. So when these images get modified, they're going to have an additional class added in. And we're going to call this wheel movement. Okay, so let's put that in here. Wheel movement. And we'll take the animation that we have by default on the wheel format, and we'll cut it out, and we'll paste it in here. So now, if we save it and refresh the page, the car is just sitting here. The wheels are not spinning, it's just sitting there, not doing anything. But if we click on here, the wheels start rotating and the car moves. Now the wheels continue to rotate here, so I'm going to set it up so instead of being infinite on the wheel movement, I'm going to have it only rotate a few times. So let's do 3. So we click on here, and it stops. And let's move that car further across. So let's have this go over, instead of 600 pixels to the on the side, let's do 700. And we'll slow down the speed a little bit. So right now we have the car moving, and it takes the animation 3 seconds to complete, so let's change that to 4 seconds. And let's see what that looks like. Alright. So now we have it, so when we click on the car, it goes forward. We stop the brakes and the car slides to a stop. So far we've covered how to create audio sounds based off of if we click on it, it'll start an audio. We change this to hover for the audio. We refresh this, I can just hover over it and it will start the audio. And if I hover over it multiple times, it will play that audio over and over and over again at the same time. But for what we are going for, we want this as a click. We want the audio as a car.mp3, which is specifying this file right here, the audio file. And then we've got our volume. So just to give you a feel for what the volume does, let's change it down to like a 0.1. So we'll refresh it. We'll click here. Now you can hear the sound of the car, but it's a lot quieter. So now we're just going to have it as a 1. But you do have that control to be able to change the volume of the audio file. So we've got our onClick start function that we created here. And what that does is it specifies the car ID that we have created, which is this right here, spelled exactly the same with the hashtag in the car here, exactly the same. So it's selecting that, and then we are adding in a class. So it's adding in car movement. And the wheel format, which is this right here, is now adding in wheel movement to both of these classes right here, because both of these have the wheel format class on it. And to just set up a background for our car, instead of just having this big black background, let's find a background to work with. So let's type in road. Let's do road side view. Yeah, this will do. So I'm just going to drag this over. Call this background. Drop it into our folder. And then for our background right here, instead of having it just as a black, we're going to add in a URL. Do no repeat. And we'll do center. And then in here we will type in background.jpg. I think that's what we called it. Yeah, background. Save that. We'll refresh it. And now we have a very, very small car on a road. And let's just have it not so it's quite there on the bottom. We'll move it up a little bit. So we'll take it down to about 350. Alright, now we can click on it. Now you'll notice when we clicked on it, it jumped down to the bottom. The reason for that is when our car moves, it starts out at what we have specified here. So even though I had it here at 350, it starts at 400 here. So we'll need to change this to 350. And we'll refresh it, click on it. And now as it animates, it starts here, but it slowly goes over this way, which could be something that we want, but if it isn't, we'll need to make sure that we have our final animation, or when the animation completes, to also be at 350. So we'll refresh it, click here, and it just goes straight. Now to give you a feel for what an HTML audio file looks like, if you were to just have it onto your site, we would do a audio tag here, and on the side here we would do source equals, and we'll just type in our car.mp3 file format here. So we save that and refresh it. Nothing shows up, but the audio is still there. But let's add in a few different tags here. So let's add in controls. We now have controls here. So we can click play here. That is if the sound wants to work here. That would be our issue right here. So we want to do source src equals car.mp3. Alright, now we actually have an image that, not an image, but an audio file that we can play. We have a few other controls that we can do with this as well. So we can add in the controls there by just typing in controls. We can also type in loop, so it will loop through the audio over and over and over again. So let's save it, refresh it. It should start looping. Now the loop may only start. Yeah, there we go. Now it's just looping. And we also have an option for autoplay. So by doing autoplay, we don't have to press the play button. It will automatically start playing. And then with our loop here, it's going to autoplay and just keep on looping over and over again. Which can get really annoying if used improperly. But we can still press pause here. And that is how to use an HTML audio file. Just right here. So another thing that we can do, and this is going to be covered in your other hybrid tutorial assignment, but we can also use this script that I wrote for the exact same functionality. So right below here, let's do a div ID. We'll just call this navigation. Inside here, we're going to do a button. And we'll just type in home. Now let's copy our code right here, paste it here, and we want to set this as hover, and we'll do this as a 0.2 for volume, And we'll paste this a few times. So we'll just do about services contact. Change the volume to 0.4, 0.6, and we'll do a 1 here. So if we refresh the page, let's comment out this code right here, so it's, or let's just take out the autoplay, so we don't have to hear that over and over again as we're working on our code here. Okay. So as I'm hovering over these buttons, it is creating an audio sound. If we click here, or if we just hover here, the audio is a lot louder than if we were to just hover here, which is a lot quieter. Now, if you're going to ever add an audio sound to like a navigation button, you want the audio to be very short. So let's go to our soundbible.com and let's type in text. So let's click here. Okay, that's not doing anything. Alright, some of these don't want to work. Or it might be just my internet. Let's refresh this. And we'll try this again. Yeah, that sounds like a fun sound. We'll just download that. So we'll download the MP3 format. Click Save. Go to our downloads. We'll use that one. And we'll just call this menu. Menu.mp3. Okay, we'll drag this over into our folder here. So we've got menu.mp3. We'll change this to menu. And yeah, just move all of these. So it's menu.mp3 on all of these. So now, as we hover over each of these, it makes a sound. Now, we're getting an audio effect when we hover over the buttons, but we're not getting any visual confirmation that we've hovered over it. So let's change that. So we're going to go up here. We're going to specify navigation. And then we're going to do a space, and then we're going to type in button. So this will select and format all of our buttons right here. So let's do a background by default of gray. Let's do a hash code. So we're going to do a 333 and a color of FFF. So that changes the font color. I'm going to do a border of 0px, padding of 5px by 10px, so that's 5 pixels top and bottom, 10 pixels on the left and right. Let's refresh this, see what it's looking like. Okay, so we've got some custom formatted buttons here. Now let's add in a hover effect. So let's first do a transition all 0.5 SEs. So this will set it up so when we hover over it, it will give us a nice smooth animation. Okay, so we'll do navigation button :hover. And this time we'll do a background of, let's do 666, which will give us a lighter gray. So we'll refresh the page. And now the gray changes as we hover over it to a lighter gray. And I'm just going to curve those edges a little bit. So I'm going to do a border dash radius 5px. And let's do a font size of 20px. Alright. And that's how you would set up a navigation or set up buttons or really any HTML element on your page to be able to have some audio just by hovering or clicking on it. We've covered how to have some animations here that we can just click and it will start an animation, it will start the wheels, it will start moving the car, and it's all right here in the background. Everything that we've covered here for moving the car, you can apply to moving your spaceship. So you want your spaceship starting right here, you want to have it take off, lift up into the air about right here, and then move over and then off the page. So far we haven't covered what it would look like moving off the page, so let's show that. So let's do our overflow hidden here. So we'll do overflow hidden. And then the car, we are going to move that by, let's do 1,000. Alright. So if we did not do the overflow hidden, just to show you what it would look like, take that off here, we would get something like this. You would go right off the background. So the overflow hidden keeps things from overflowing or going outside of the background. If you have any questions over anything that we've covered tonight, feel free to contact me either by email, by text, or by phone call. And other than that, that's all for tonight.